Okay.
Testing.
All get called, but I think I'm perfect. Yeah.
You ready? All right. We're going to call the June 13th, 2025 Central Board of Architectural Review meeting to order. Do we have any members of the public who wish to address the board regarding an item that is not on today's agenda?
If you're online and wish to speak on an item not on the agenda, please raise your hand. I'm not seeing any public comment.
Okay, any refusals? I have one. Item number 9. Anybody else? Okay, we're good. Agenda status report.
We don't have, there's no changes to the agenda.
Okay, minutes of April 11th. Okay, good. I didn't have a comment on the minutes. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Second by Chris.
I abstained because I was not here at the last,
Thank you.
last 2 weeks.
No, last meeting.
Last meeting, we skipped one, yeah. I didn't.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? One abstention. All right. Informational briefing. Anybody have anything? Nope. Okay. Staff update.
Good morning. Nice to see you all or hear you all. A few updates of things that are coming to the Planning Commission in the near future. On June 4th, the Planning Commission will hear the 5-year capital improvement program analysis by the Comprehensive Plan Division.
What date was that, Nicole?
June 4th at the County Planning Commission.
Oh, this is the 13th, so I think we passed that.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry. Okay, and then coming up in the future, on July 3rd, The brick barn. Sorry, July 30th. I'm having difficulties here. On July 30th, the County Planning Commission will hear the Brick Barn Tier 3 winery and special events. That's located off of Highway 246.
Just West Milton, yep.
And that's all the updates I have for today.
Okay. Thank you. The site visit, land and equestrian site visit, item number 125 bar 2 was completed. So item number 2, 23 bar 115 El Capitan Canyon Resort Campground and Improvement. And you're returning with additional detailing for roofing, doors, windows, etc. And we appreciated the changes that you've made. So you want to walk us through that whole monster set so we can get you get through it. That'd be great. Here.
First part that you want to look at is at the very end. I thought you might want to skip to section 10, but if you want to start at the first one, we can do a recap for you guys and everybody who's online. And we do have one other thing that we wanted to add that came up last time that wasn't in the notes, which was Arcadia has provided a tree replacement plan. There were some landscape questions that were loose, so we want to make sure that we brought that into. So Derek will talk about that. Yeah, do you want to start at the very beginning?
Okay. Yeah. It might be easiest just to start wherever you want to do. You want to go to section 10 and then we can get through this in the meat and then we can come back and recap and go through that. All right. So section 10.
Unless it's Alan, you may not have been here during the last one, but we did have some comments about how the exterior was going to be detailed, some of the wood siding and some of the very specific things to make sure that it's detailed right. So
right here. Yep.
Yeah, let's do 10, and if you can continue a few pages and get into the details, I'll start with that, and then we can go back to the beginning and do the full page flip, going to the 3 series. These are all the technical building sections and elevations that you saw last time. You'll know when it gets boring. A couple more.
There you go. Whoa, back up.
Yeah, go back. Okay, so when we were here last time, we were a little light on details, but we wanted to make sure that we were on the right track, which it looks like we were. So we've now invested in a lot of the detailing. And while you're right here, I definitely want to hit the high notes about what you guys have mentioned. The first one, I think we see at number 9, which has to do with how we detail all of our wood siding. 2 things that came up. One was these are long runs for some of these boards and they can cup and do some other things. So we have variable widths of 3, 5, and 7 inches wide. So that allows us to get some better material for the wood, but also it's on a clip system. So these aren't just screwed in. These are a rain screen system. So the water rushes behind this wood and stays stable. But the important thing, which people at home can't maybe see my finger or not, but is that all the window openings and door openings, we're going to have full board widths. So we're not going to be cutting wood at all the corners and things like that. That's something that came up. So you'll see that telegraphing through all the drawings. You know, we've been looking, you know, carefully at even like little details to make sure that, you know, even all of our mud sills and things like that are detailed well. If we zoom out a little bit, scroll down. It's really just all of the cladding and how the deck materials here are flush with the buildings themselves. Some railing details, but a lot of this has to do with all of our wood, details like that. This next sheet is the other one that was curious about. We have an integrated gutter detail and all of our roof detailing. Our materials board You've seen this one and approved it in the past, for other elements of this project and this one, but we had to rebuild it. We lost it after the last CBAR. I think it stayed here too long and then, anyway. So we have the same simple palette that you've seen over at other areas that have already been approved and are in the building department, which is cedar that's weathered, Corten steel roof, and bronze windows and door hardware. So it's a real basic, simple palette. If you guys want to refer back to that.
Okay.
We're not doing any use here on this part of the project. It's a wildland urban fire interface, nice detail for us. It keeps the building really clean. You'll remember this is just a landscape driven project. This is a huge property with lots of trees in the repairing areas. So these buildings are kind of background when we saw that landscape.
Ready to spill down?
Yeah. So that's where the hidden gutters are. We have some living roofs. We've eliminated a bunch of them, but where guests or the public can look down onto the property, we felt it was really important to keep some of the living roof in some areas that was actually visible.
Yeah.
So there's some of those things that have been figured out in coordination with waterproofing and landscape. So there's all of our other standard details. Window and door schedules are now filled in. All the operable windows are specified, doors as well. So
Well,
that's pretty much the level of detail. We have, all these buildings are really similar, and so we're rinsing and repeating a lot of the details because there's continuity throughout the whole property. And a lot of these details you've seen and approved at Area F over to the east side of Coastal Terrace. So there's really, in that regard, there's not much new here to see. While we have this up, maybe we, oh, here we go. This is the other one I think that it was actually a specific comment about the window. So we did want to just put that one up and make sure that knows that that's how we're doing it. So nothing new, didn't stumble across anything, doesn't change any of the designs that you've seen. Just exciting roll down door details. And while we're doing the meat of this one, which is new material, I think that you may want to go to number 11, and we can let Derek talk about the landscape details, which have already been approved, and then also, but show you the tree replacement plan, which is a really important component of this. And then after that, if we want to go back to the beginning, we can do that. Derek's got a hard copy of it, and I believe it's after this. Oh, it's 12. 12. Okay. The 12 is the tree replacement. This slows everybody's computer down. So.
It's a little hard to see, but you can see here all these little dots. Those are all new trees. If you look at the interior of them, it can identify the tree by type and by size. So the important thing for you guys to know is that we aren't proposing any removal of native trees throughout the project. However, the county had an independent assessment of our landscape plans and construction plan, and noted that we do impact 23 native trees within the 20-foot threshold at the critical root zone. That we do have to mitigate for those 23 trees. As such, we are replacing 84 new native trees. None of them are going to be 1 or 5 gallon. All of them are going to be 15 gallon or larger up to 48 inch. And they include Persian hydrofolia, Platanus racemosa, blue elderberry, and Sequoia sempervirens.
yes.
Yeah, this is the whole project. This is the all.
That is awesome.
You're not used to seeing the whole project area kind of squeezed under 2 images, but you get the idea. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll leave it up.
So let's see, I think we're still in landscape details. Do you want to go back to the beginning and
Yep.
rehash the,
Start at the beginning and then just go through everything, because this is for final.
so when we came in for prelim last time, as you're teeing this up, because we've been in and sort of know what's coming, we had a pretty advanced set last time, and anything that was changed or picked up, there's no changes, but anything that was picked up in the details didn't merit any changes to what we saw last time in prelim or approval on prelim. Orientation for everybody of Capitan Canyon. We're
Yep.
we're here at Area 1. I think that you guys have all visited those. We'll just keep it going for our talk. The first set comes from Civil, and as just a reminder, and you can keep flipping through
Yep.
these. This is showing all of our constraints mapping for flood, riparian area, oak woodland, and everywhere where all of the early siting that was approved, how it was all determined. Being really careful about the habitat, topography of the canyon, and what's existing. No changes, anything in there. This is the constraints map. Everything that's on a white background is safe zone to land. All the previous emphaticals were approved. Previously, what we just saw was the night sky lighting diagram and the materials, which you see in physical samples up here. And here's some more illustrative. This is on the landscape side, the materials of the entire landscape palette and all the fencing. The first section that we look at is a back of house area with a maintenance building and a cart barn for all of the electric carts as we electrify and remove carts from the canyon. There's existing conditions which you guys had toured and wanted some more information on at one point. This is what's there now. And this is what's going to be there, which is shop facility. And an area to rent bicycles or e-bikes or other ways to be able to get around as far as not in a car. So you'll see some images of that. These things pop up. And there's still some cabins in this area as well.
Yep.
But this is all back house.
This is a more of a due diligence than.
Understood. So relative to certain units, this is obviously open here. So here's the architectural details of these two structures. This one is a Quonset hut. It's simply a core 10 arc with a roof. And we're getting into the site plan of the family pool. Oh, here we go. Here's the rendering of that back of house building. And again, actually much more dense with landscape in there, but otherwise we wanted to show you guys the buildings and all these renderings. So we've actually cleared out a lot of the landscape so they're visible.
Okay.
This is the bike shop. The garage. And then this Quonset hut, which is also a jitney stop for the shuttle.
Mhm.
That'll allow people to not have to drive so much. The bare bones forms of these buildings, so you can see all sides of them in context. The elevations flattened out, don't show a lot of articulation. So
Okay. And here's
second
the
area is the
pool.
family pool, which we made some adjustments to based on public comment, some comments from GCC originally. Existing pool, totally overcrowded
Okay.
So create a family pool. It's a little more friendly to children and infants and all that. So it's a picnic area, playground, lots of natural features, kids to run around. And that's a shallow pool. Goes from 0 inches depth, kind of slowly sloping down, so it's never really gets a deep end or anything like that. All the lighting's shown throughout. There was some comments on the lighting. We brought all that in, had all the photo metrics done, so that was all seemed pretty good. And of course, you guys all know, as I've said over the many years, we're trying to keep it dark. Next up, the canyon is kind of the largest site for events. It's a recreation hall, which is where there's the original, or the existing assembly spaces you guys have seen, which are kind of tent structures that are kind of makeshift tent structures. So that gets replaced with an actual recreation hall that has some food service, and there's a pool there that is more of this called the adult pool, but everyone's welcome there. So this is that section. And this is the area where we did some ash trees and neighbors. The same information might be in the next one, just not illustrated. If we'll try to move on. Not as sexy, but you can see it in the red X's where those ash trees were.
Mhm.
And the same footprint of what you visited already.
Okay.
The north part of that complex, which is the assembly area. You saw last time we had confirmed since then all the ADA and access and paths. That was the one thing that freedom was going through and doing all the accessibility layer to the whole property. Kind of added a little bit of the layer of work previously, but all that was accommodated. That side of it.
Okay. 8.
Master models. The south end of that complex, the second building there, that has the pool and fitness area and kitchen. The pool and take some of the pressure off of the market and restaurant that's down in the coastal zone. Which will probably be returning for pretty soon. Much shorter set. Okay, at the tippy top of the canyon is the wellness center. Left over there, cool. So when we were here for prelim, we had some ADA and access issues on that, so we did have to adjust that building in the last one which we presented. And that's all worked out, just fine in details and all the other modified consult structural and civil. So no changes to this either from the last one.
9. There's one closer to seven. And we looked at 10 already.
Mhm. So this is to lay out for that wellness center and with all the ADA paths that really have an impact on us. But as always, everything that comes up, whether it's comments or things like this, if always those in the projects.
Okay.
Like the trees doesn't
Right.
look the same, but you can use your imaginations on that. But they look feeling a little bit like tree houses. And this is where we picked up really for the meat of this presentation.
Yep.
Final is the details.
All right.
And we have illustrative materials, and then we also have more technical elevations through these and sections. Again, from last time, just to make sure there was total clarity on what everything is and also what materials are where.
Okay. And we did 10, we haven't done 11.
11 is also, there wasn't any additions, landscape, Arcadia, as usual, was ahead of the game and had everything already detailed in prelim. So nothing was missing. So that's kind of it on that one.
Was that it?
I think we've now touched every page.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any questions? Or?
Do we have any public comment? Let's see.
If you're on, let's see, if you're online and wish to speak on this item, please raise your hand. And we don't have anybody in the audience with the raised hand and no public comment online.
Okay. Any discussion? Make a motion?
I have one small comment about that. On, I think we'll get the point. There were a couple of options shown for corner conditions of the wood and how it interacts with the corner.
Right.
Miter versus flapping and soffits are doing one thing, walls are doing one thing. As a final point on what we were talking about last time, just be careful about where the miters show up. I think there was one soffit that showed a miter and things like that. Not ideal.
Yeah, miter is actually pretty risky and overdoing that. So we can pick, yeah, totally. Miters are, especially at those lengths.
Yeah.
So that's
Take a magnifying glass over last time, but I appreciate the thought you put into the variable size of stuff.
yeah. And that corner detail is also, we just wanted to leave it in there because maybe we want a full board on one, or maybe the one that's too wide that we want to split it. So that's why we put them both.
Yeah.
Okay, but that
And
might
I don't know that specific. You know, I haven't looked at it, so
yeah.
just something, you know.
Yeah, I appreciate the either comment. Needs a red mark.
Any other question?
Bethany, was that a formal comment? And if so, could you repeat it for me?
No, it's not a formal comment.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve. Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you very much.
We're used to saying if they will see you for the next one, but I guess there's no next one.
Not on this one. Item number 3, Valiant Period LLC, new single-family dwelling, 24 bar 34. Is Tom online? Anybody here for item number 3? Yes, there you are. Thought I saw you. Okay, so the comments from last time. On the north elevation, be careful with the height limit lines. Change the light color plaster within the gable on the east elevation to match border batten. I mean, there was a lot of discussion about this, but it sounds really fiddly, but I think it pulled everything together. Compactness of everything and site planning is a positive with respect for hillside ridgeline. Consider how color ties into the fenestration and details. No glaring problems with the architectural design, pleasant project. Reduce lighting around the building and make it more discreet for a more sensitized light design to the surrounding area. For example, eliminate landscape lighting on the wall near the pool. Just as an example. All right. Will walk us through those comments?
Is it divided into the, what, how many comments do we have?
5.
Okay, let's go
So
to,
Civil part 2, civil landscape part 2. I guess there's 2 parts to each.
um,
And then
I'll go to the
architectural.
fourth one, or, oh, do they, the architectural
Mhm.
was in one? Let's go to the second architectural one.
Let's kind of put it together.
And I want to skip ahead to the elevation sheets. Or actually, oh, sorry, go back up to the top of this one.
And y'all speak on both.
Yeah.
Yes. The microphone's there and our ears are over here.
So we added a few, of the proposed height limit lines where we have the drive court area. And so this is that height limit line at the drive court, as well as if you scroll down to the lower section, we added this for the grading at the drive court as well for the proposed grade. And then we're also showing that on the section. So let's go to the next, a few sheets down. Okay. Go past the civil. Going.
That's your exterior lighting too, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we'll do the lighting last. I'll just go through,
No worries.
the comments in order. Okay. Few more pages. Actually, I think it's probably keep going one more. Keep going. Okay, I'm gonna stop here while we're here. This is the portion of the elevation that we were talking about last hearing and changing the material to the wood material.
Yep.
So we made that adjustment on this plan. And then it's, yeah, that's the same one down at the bottom there. So that's the second comment. And keep going.
Anthony's pretty strict on the windows.
Anyway,
Gonna try it out.
and I think that's it for that one. Okay. Let's see. The color ties into the fenestration and details on the first PDF of the architectural. last time we were here, we brought the color samples. And then we also provided another rendering of the proposed wineberry, window color. If you go to the first PDF on the set, it should be a few pages in. I think there's another
Oh, I did,
PDF.
for the architectural was just one.
There's a cover sheet and that kind of thing. Okay.
Just click on the various different ones if it's where we're at.
This one will show you the difference.
Yeah, there's just the one architectural PDF. There's 2 landscape and 2 civil, but 1 architectural.
Okay, it should be on one of the earlier sheets in the set. I don't know, I sent it to them in a different format, so I'm not sure how they must have changed this. Okay, well, we can talk about the lighting since we're here. So at the master bedroom area, we previously had 2 sconces that were removed and are only providing lighting with the recessed downlights. And then at the living room area here, we had an additional sconce that was removed. And then if we go down to the lower floor plan, or the lower, actually, it's probably previous set.
Yes, it was, yeah. Up to. Keep going up.
I think the main portion that we were talking about, up one more, was, we had 2 sconces on either side of this, awning here, and so we removed those, and we're only providing the required, sconce lighting at the sliding doors along the side. And then Scott also is here, and so he updated the landscape lighting. Let's see. I do want to find that material board somehow.
Yes, because you need it.
Yeah,
Final.
could we hold this up and see where that sheet is somewhere? This gotta be another set because there's no cover sheet in this drawing set. And we just looked at that, so it's gotta be in one of the other PDFs.
Could you please close the door? Thank you.
We just start looking on the other.
Yeah, I'm
PDF.
looking at the others too. I don't remember seeing.
I mean, I saw it when you first opened it, there was the cover sheet there.
Yeah, I remember
So-
that.
Did it get closed somehow?
No. Done civil, first civil.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, great. So, I'm going to attach these sheets until we get to the material board.
Just down a ways. Oops, there you go. Actually, I
This
think
actually
it's-
makes it a little brighter, but,
yeah, mine is much darker. This
These
is why you need the physical
Yeah,
color board
so,
to stamp.
these were the renderings that we prepared of the fenestration at the entry, just as an example of how it's interacting with the other materials. And then we also have the chimney cap detail that we discussed at the last hearing, and so just a rendering of that, and then that's also in the architectural details. Should we go through the rest of the architectural set before I bring Scott up to talk about
Yeah,
landscape
might as
lighting?
well do
Okay. So we have our
And
lighting
actually,
plans.
you're. Right, go ahead, keep going.
Lighting plans, which we reviewed last time, we reviewed the responses from the exterior. Our floor plans, which are pretty much the same as the last time we were here. Roof plan with all the details called out, the cabana, floor plans and roof plan. So I guess it's the file size too. Oh. And then we have our accessory structures, which are existing on the site. And so this was part of the planning application, that we're converting a portion of the existing residence to an ADU and storage area. And there's also an existing agricultural barn that is part of the planning application. The cabana elevations and some of the elevations from straight on. And then colored elevations showing the materials of the exterior. Main elevation, side, the master bedroom.
And these elevations, as far as the lighting, that's all been updated for the new lighting plans.
Some of them we didn't update. I think there's still some sconces showing on the master bedroom
Yep.
that have been removed. But because that, other than the sconces, that was the only change to that elevation, so that one's still showing, but everything else was updated. Building sections. And then the renderings. So the renderings do have the updated lighting as well.
Right.
Yeah. And there's that gable end again that we changed the material. And then okay. Door and window schedules, and then our architectural details are coming up next. And so that was one of the requests from the previous hearing, was providing the detail for the chimney cap. And then we have plaster, stone veneer, as well as a composite with siding material that we reviewed at the last hearing. And then we also have the dark gray standing seam here. Our window details showing the clad windows and doors. And then some of the other finished details, the garage, flat roof detail, and post spaces and stairs. And then, Scott, if you'd like to
The landscape.
and go through the landscape lighting reductions.
That's the second one or the first one?
I have the lighting plan is past this.
Okay. That's irrigation.
Oh, that one was that?
No, that was irrigation.
What's the next one?
There we go.
Is it that one?
Yep, that's the one. So main comment was a reduction of some of the accent lighting, particularly the wash lighting that we had on some of the retaining walls. basically, I guess just north of the pool, that fire pit area, those curvilinear walls, we had some wash lights on those. Those have been removed, as well as some of the path lighting where the blue dots are. We had some additional downlights from those trees. Those have been taken off as well. So mainly we're just focusing on any sort of path of circulation, focusing on just visibility as far as steps, pathways, and reduced quite a bit of any sort of additional accent lighting.
Let's go back.
Planting plan, and no other real changes have been made. To planting, irrigation, and other thoughts are all in there.
All right,
Thank you.
any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. The wineberry color is still on the materials board, but it seems like it's not on the elevations anymore. Is that on the structure that's being renovated, or is it gone?
It's on the whole structure. I think it's a line weight thing, and that's why we did the blow up of the 3D view, because when it's so far away, since the structure is so big, the line weights kind of wash it out. And then also, in conditions where it's in shadow, it does render pretty darkly, and then when there's direct light on it, it looks a lot brighter. So that's why we kind of tried to show both conditions, where one has like direct sunlight on it, and then the other one where it's a little bit more in the shade, just to kind of help with an understanding of what that's supposed to look like everywhere.
Any other questions?
Just on the assessment, when you see the light bulb.
Here? There's no light bulb.
It's an LED, it's like a flat LED.
Flat. Yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, public comment?
So if you're online and wish to speak on this item, please raise your hand. See no raised hand, so no public comment.
And no one here for this item, public comment? For the discussion?
I'm good to go.
I'm good to go.
Make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
All second.
Okay, I would like to amend your motion. The, before the set is, put into the record as the final set, you need to update those elevations. Because if anybody comes back and pulls them, they're gonna go, there's lights here.
Could that be a condition?
That's a condition of the approval of the motion, part of the motion. You get that, Nicole?
You want the elevations updated to show what?
The correct, well, basically the elimination, to omit the lighting fixtures that they have omitted, because they just didn't update the elevations.
Okay, got it.
So before it becomes registered as the final set, that needs to, as a condition of final approval, they need to submit that to the planner to include. Yeah. And there was a second?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, good. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Nice.
Okay, item number 4, Grupo Tahanian Winery Edition 24 bar 00055.
You know what, I already had a,
Yeah, it's not caffeine, it's nothing, right? Then we can pull it out.
Well, I was
Stephanie, you ready?
I can read the comments from last time. The story polls and site visit provided the board with a lot of information and demonstrated the size of the development. Consider grading to lower the structure or parts of the structure into the site to help alleviate skylining if supported by the planner. Would appreciate more stone, and that specifically is addressing the increase in grading amount. Okay. Would appreciate more stone and less concrete for the wainscoting. The board prefers stone siding as referenced on sheet A12. Anywhere there is an extreme unnatural slope transition, please revise the grading to replicate a natural, more gradual form. Update the elevations to accurately show the slope changes and retaining walls. Return with a physical color material board. Please also submit a color board as part of the PDF plan set. Okay. Take it away.
Okay. Hello, thank you. My name is Jolie Law. I'm an architect with the LN Design Group. Oh, there. Okay. Sorry. Hopefully you can all hear me. So we'll just start off with comment number 1. We just wanted to say in response to that Brett Jones and Angie James had worked with Francisco about this item, and Francisco had looked everything over and had determined that he had no concerns regarding the height of the structure. No, Francisco, is he on?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
Hello, good morning. Francisco here, County Planning.
Did you need was there anything you wanted to let us know about before she gets much more into her presentation?
I just wanted, yeah, thank you for asking. I did want to point out, I did go out to the site after the last CBAR meeting, and I did document. I took some pictures of the story poles that were there. I reviewed them with management, and we confirmed we didn't have any concerns with the height.
Okay.
Okay.
Keep
Move on to
going.
number 2. Okay, thank you. Okay, then regarding, let's see, we would appreciate more stone and less concrete at the wainscoting, and the board preferred stone siding. So I wanted to say that we did add additional stone to the overall building, but the way that we
So we had to split the file on several times. So the best,
So
the best would be, 0 architectural volume 1.
okay.
Did they not open?
Oh, they're here, just like a.
I think in that PDF it's 9 of 11. Yeah.
Because it's not there.
Oh yeah, it's because I have them over here so they could start downloading. There you go.
Oh,
Pages 9, 10.
to the PDF. So A201 and A202.
That was 201.
Okay. And so what I did want to say, as far as the stone goes, and the way the design of the building, we have been using the stone to really designate hierarchy within the spaces of the building. So the main entry gable is completely stone, all front and back, and that stone actually carries into the inside walls of the building. So when from the interior, you'll also see that stone. And then the next sort of hierarchical space would be the wine tasting room, which is on the, it's on the other page, which is on the right, on the upper here. That actually is a combination of predominantly stone and partial siding at the top. So there's a slight reduction there. And then there is also a big stone plinth and a stone chimney at the outdoor public terrace area. And then when you get to the production area, if you go back, sorry, to the other page, there is a further reduction of stone use at the production area. As you can see here, this is all stone bottom part here, but then the rest of that is siding. So, so basically, the other thing that we wanted to comment on was that these buildings sort of, definitely were meant to have a nod as far as form and shape to agricultural structures, more traditional agricultural structures. And we noted that in traditionally that there were often sort of concrete or formed concrete or other types of bases on those kinds of buildings to provide protection from tractors and farm equipment and things like that. And so we actually sort of stayed within that idea of keeping the concrete wainscot at the bottom for most of the building, and then over in the production area, that concrete area rises up. But the concrete, rather than being a more industrial concrete, we're actually using a much more refined finish, which is sort of almost like an acid etch or a light sandblasting. And we've used infrared colors in that concrete, so it is more of a tan tone that actually is picking up a number of the tones that are actually happening veneer, which we'll show you guys too as well.
So, just a quick thing while we're right here. One of the comments was update the elevations to accurately show the slope changes in retaining walls.
That would be the next presentation.
Okay, the next presenter. Okay, so
So
not
this
these elevations.
Not these elevations. This was just regarding comment number 2.
Okay.
So.
Can you turn that?
So these comments are going to, be irreducible to
That's over there. Hi, everybody, Rob Miller with Wallace Group. Find that silver plan, great.
Volume 2, you said, right?
Yeah, volume 2. Flip to PDF page.
To page 7.
That's a pretty good one. So previously we had a fairly prismatic grade 1 slope on the south and the west side of the building. And as you can see in the lower part of the screen there, we softened that a lot to a 4-to-1 slope that gradually transitions as you go from west to east. And there's a drainage feature there at the bottom. So that is going to blend in a lot more naturally than we had in the last version. To the west side of the building, we now have some water facilities. There really is no slope. There's a very short wall feature that you can see there with the finished surface on the bottom of the wall labeled a couple feet high. And so the prismatic wrapping of the 3-to-1 slope is pretty much off for this version. That's our response. Could I answer any questions that they can. On the comment 4, I might say up here, it's a simple portion of this. Come and join.
Look, the same documents and page 7.
Seven is better, actually.
Want me to speak to this? So on the east side of the building, we do have a wall feature that when you look at the cross section, it's a little bit exaggerated. But that wall feature on the east side, that undulating form, on the far right side of the screen, is a short wall, 3 to 4 foot, max 4 foot high, that meanders on its way to the north. And so those elevations have been updated to accurately reflect that grade transition there. So that will be a wall that's a person scale, not a tall feature. And when you look at the cross section, sometimes the truncated height of the building doesn't really show the fact that the wall is 4 feet tall. So that's been adjusted.
Yeah, from the property line side, you wouldn't even see the wall. From the building side, it goes from 0 to max 4 and then back down to 0 again. And we have a couple renderings to just show some views of that wall. So if you want to go.
0 through 8 volume 2.
And then page 3. That was our materials for it. If you have any questions, we also have physical samples. So this is showing that retaining wall from the topiary garden, and then also looking for where the parking is further up on the property. So you can see this planting screens it. You really don't see anything. It's a really beautiful stone wall. And then we have trees on the property side, so it would provide screening from the street as well. You want to go to page 4, further down on the property, we have a children's play area, and you can see the wall there as well. So we have the play features, and you can see from the topiary further north, looking down at the bottom towards the play area, you also can't really see the wall. It's a nice slope down to where pedestrians walk. That should address the wall comments. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. So the next comment you asked, that was a physical color and materials board, of our project. So we actually have, a building, physical samples, and we also have, landscape.
Yep. This one? Do you want to pass it, you said?
We brought everything. I'm just gonna pull out a few pieces here. We didn't want to put the table.
It's not our table, we do appreciate it,
Okay.
especially since it's not our table.
So this is the Santa Barbara sandstone here. And we have, there's a range of colors. And I'll pull it all out, but it's really wonderful. We'll kind of go through these. So going, do we want to go to the materials folder? Right.
Is this the material?
Oh,
that's the landscape?
There should be a materials folder as well.
13?
I just flipped down.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I'm just gonna kind of point out each of the materials and you have the boards with you. So to start with, we'll go back to the stone. So the stone is actually going to be a true Santa Barbara sandstone veneer. It's going to be a combination of a split face as well as a boulder skin veneer. And it's actually going to be have a dry set look because we're trying to give it that nod to a slightly more,
so you can point to there.
slightly more contemporary edge to it. And then the siding on the building is a weathered alder finish. The wainscot, as we talked about here, is a sort of a. So there's the weather. Do it.
You're gonna ban it.
Yeah, I'll be a man. Okay, so there's our weathered alder finish. This is going to be the finish that we're looking at for the wainscot, but we're going to be doing a color which is much more a warmer choky tan color, which actually is picking up the color variations that we have in the stone veneer. And then the roof is going to be a standing seam metal roof in the dark bronze. Our windows are steel windows that are going to also have with the grid pattern that are also going to be in the same dark bronze. We have awnings, the metal awnings that you see located around the building. Those are also going to be, they're going to be the same colors of the windows as they're going to all look as they're one cohesive unit. Then we have the deck or the terrace across the back, which you can't see in this photograph, but it's going to have a limestone paver finish. And then the stairs that are also coming down will also have the same treads in the same limestone with thin set with this dark limestone. The underside of the terrace is the underside of the roof has an aluminum plank, like G&G piece that's going to fit together and line the underside of the roof. And then we have some different accessory outside buildings that are more utility oriented. And that is actually going to have a split face CMU pattern that is actually also, again, picking up the same color palette that we're using in this deck. And then the railings are also going to be metal, and they will be the same things called statuary bronze. So we're carrying the same palette, and it's all going to have a slightly matte finish. We're a little bit limited by powder coating, but we're going to get as matte as we can. Okay. And I think that is it, unless anyone has any other questions. Pardon?
The fireplace surround materials.
Oh, this is at this point, yeah, we're looking at a natural stone, probably a basalt, something like that. But it's just something that will be sort of a dark. It'll be a dark kind of charcoal, something that will accent.
So what you got there, an eye. Right next to the fireplace,
Correct.
those two. Okay. Any other questions? I have one if nobody else does.
Yeah, I've got a question about the design of the fireplace on 2201. The one that's kind of like a assemblage of different materials. I was just wondering if you could talk through the design intent on that. The one in the children's playroom.
This one right here, or the other one?
Looks more like the other image you have. I think it's elevation 2 on 2.
The one that's just vertically coming up through behind the terrace.
No, it used to be more of like that Corten shaped thing, you know, it's more.
This is the fireplace now. This is replacing the Corten shape
Got it.
fireplace. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, it's now simplified.
This is actually a question for Francisco.
Oh, he's ready.
Yep, okay. So Francisco, I noticed that the agenda says it's revised preliminary and final review. What was the revision?
There were some changes as far as I believe the floor plans were changed a little bit. I didn't get into the weeds of the actual changes, but when it was resubmitted, it was indicated that there were some changes. So it did receive preliminary approval last
Right.
time, so we were hoping it could get final
That's-
approval this time.
Okay.
I have one more question.
Uh-huh.
Are there any noticeable expansion joints that you can think of on the major elevations? I saw the details and the architectural details, but I was just curious if there were any broad swaths of elevation where you'd actually see those.
Not that we're trying to keep them as minimal as possible. As far as like at the stone, we actually have, for support purposes for the veneer, we actually have some metal angles that are in there. And so we're hoping that you'll just see this very, very thin line at the edge of the metal angle. And we're going to probably put sort of a black anodized finish on that so that it kind of stays more subtle and a little more contemporary. And then on the siding, it's they're, they said it's every 2 feet or something like that is when, so they're not, we're trying to minimize them wherever possible, but we're sticking within wherever the manufacturer suggestions are. Yeah.
Could you walk us through very quickly the changes to the floor plans, the revision that I asked Francisco about? We had given you guys had the project to receive preliminary, and they agendized it for revised preliminary, which usually happens when you have quite a few changes or a substantial change or a lot of little ones. So could you kind of walk us through it? Have we seen that? Was that the big one last time? Okay. There aren't any from the last time we've seen it, is that what you're saying?
Nothing substantial. I mean, it would have been.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say the bathroom entry changed a little bit to meet ADA code. To meet, clearances and things like that, and mainly shifting things around to meet clearances for accessibility.
Okay. Yeah, that's it too. That's why I was asking about that. Okay. Okay. How many of these are these? Right. Do you need to, would you like to go through the whole set since you are here for final? Do you have your detailing and all that? So why don't you just start at the beginning? Whatever we haven't seen, let's just take a look at it real quick so we can get through it.
So you want to start with the G trees?
Oh, so G sheets, only a lot about building houses. I don't know if you find that interesting.
No.
There's 27.
Which one? Yeah. So, which the architecture, if you could just do the architectural landscape.
We have.
Yeah, so a lot of this is our purview.
Especially for flow.
Right.
I don't know if this is easier or.
No, yeah, well, we have to be able to, we have people who are viewing online, so we have to, but,
Architecture volumes.
okay.
Yeah, that's fine. So architecture volume 2. I can't see the sheet.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm just in. Okay, yes. Well, I just.
Civil volume.
Oh, read the label. I can tell you. The other side here. Sorry, I just.
Just be careful of the cords.
Oh, thank you.
So if you can get to the 8900s,
Yeah, I mean, these are wall sections. As you're cruising through, additional wall sections.
Okay.
Enlarged plans, enlarged stair plans, enlarged plans for the restrooms, interior elevations, clearances. Next. is the enlarged enlarged plans and interior elevations for the common areas, this being the barrel room, as well as the commercial kitchen spaces, enlarged plans for the lobby, enlarged plans for the production area, and enlarged plans for the wine tasting room, and interior elevations for all of those, enlarged plans for the private tasting rooms in the upstairs and interior elevations for those areas. And then again, the wine tasting, and then these are details, enlarged plans regarding all the awnings on the exterior, the metal awnings. And then this is the wine production equipment plan, as well as the wine production catwalks that are within the wine production room. And then this is a signage plan, a first floor signage plan. Second floor signage plan. And this is the overall materials schedule. Our door schedule. Window schedule.
So volume 3, is that volume 2?
Lots of one window schedule. Details, architectural details. These are our window details at all the different finishes. So architectural window details at the stone veneer, at the siding, and there is also one, I think there's a concrete bay. So there's a there, and then these are interior and exterior door details. Our roof details, standing seam metal roof details. Again, additional parapet and roof details. These are the stair railings and the stair details. These are exterior details. Sorry,
Slow
balconies.
down a little, we are supposed to. be looking
Balconies and
I thought we were. No. These are the ones we're supposed to be looking at.
These are the terrace. This is the roof above the terrace. These are details for that, connection details.
Okay.
And these are enlarged wall sections. Again, additional enlarged wall sections. More. There are a lot of wall sections. There are a lot of transitions through different spaces, though. And they're addressing eve conditions and things like that. These are interior details.
Okay.
And these are some interior ceiling details, cove details, recessed lighting details.
Looks like you've got a.
And these are the signage, the graphics, predominantly for accessibility and exiting. And then these are our wall types. Okay. And then these are continued assemblies, floor assemblies. And these are clearances regarding, again, accessibility. As well as accessibility details around the elevator. And then clearances and required clearances at the restrooms and the kitchens.
And do you landscape?
Okay. We go on to the L sheets, right, for landscape?
Yeah.
I'll just skip through. Start out. Our tree protection plan. Start full schedules of everything. Site plan. Construction schedule and front entry portion of construction plan. Back portion, and then we have some attachments as well. This is the play area, labyrinth area. The event space. All our details, walls, hardscape, this is the gate detail, more walls. We have a trellis at the entry with a bike station. There's all the detail in there, the furnishings, and our entrance.
steel arbor, more furnishings and play equipment. More play items, shade sail specifications and elaborate detailing. Like track specification. Sensory wall detail specification, bollard spec. And this is our materials board. We have physical samples here as well. If you have questions, if you want to keep going, we just have some rendering of what the planting would look like in the entry. We're adding a significant amount of trees. There's our topiary garden and the front retaining parking that you already saw, and you also already saw the play area. And then our irrigation plan, so we have our own row. This goes through both sheets of where our irrigation equipment is, the backflow and everything is to the southwest. Going. Irrigation. Front. Back. And then we'll have our details for irrigation. Just keep going through it. Volume. Here's our planting schedule of everything, compliance with MLULO, our trees. Okay. And then it's portioned out. Each. Yeah, so you can kind of just scan through it. Schedule we have. And then we'll have our planting details. Okay.
Any questions? Public comment?
Let's see, if you're online and wish to speak on this item, please raise your hand. Not seeing any raised hand and no one in the audience, so no public comment.
All right, for the discussion,
No,
anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll
Okay.
second.
Rise preliminary and final,
Yes.
and that
I'll
was a second. Okay. All in favor? Aye. None opposed. All right, thank you much.
Congratulations.
All right, since our coffee is failing us, before we do, the item number 5, I'm gonna call it item number 5, 25 bar 2, land and equestrian. This was our site visit this morning. We're gonna take a big break.
How long?
Right, 10 minutes.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Audio visual, okay.
We are on now.
All right,
And then, just an announcement, make sure we're speaking loud enough.
Yeah.
Nicole was having a hard time hearing the members.
why don't you, Alan, help me slide this?
What are we doing?
Just slide it this way. There we go. All right, that should help. No gravelly deep voices, just project.
Yeah.
All right, you too.
Pressure's on.
All right, so we made the site visit this morning, so this is the, project plan, you wanna, let me see, let me read the rest of it. The site visit was required, we did that, story poll in the VTF, we did that. Please provide, although there was a slight little hiccup in the location. Please provide information regarding color and materials. Consider including colors of adjacent buildings so C-Bar can ensure compatibility. Meaning as a side-by-side. Pay attention to and reduce the reflectivity of the structure, especially the roof, as much as possible. Consider adding landscaping around the structure to reduce visibility. All right.
All right. So, we have the color board on the second sheet, which is really not much of a color board because it's just one color. You saw on the site this white, accessory structure that we've already built. It's gonna be the same order from the steel manufacturer. So it's all white. The difference being that this arena is a little larger, quite a bit. So we've got some breaks in the fenestration, right? At least. We've got not, we've got some windows on the south and north end of the building. And we've got some doors both on the south and north end, but we also have big doors on the west and east.
You want to take a look at the elevations?
Yeah, we can jump to the elevations. As far as
Just give me just a minute, I'm sorry.
no problem.
Nicole. Oh, we're coming back at 11.
Oh, do we want to wait?
Just give me my,
Huh?
Did you call out the number?
I called it before we took our break. So, but Nicole thought we were coming back at 11, which isn't 5. She's not back yet?
Nicole, are you?
If you're not back yet, let us know.
She's not back yet.
Yes, let us know. On the text.
Look how a lot of people say,
No.
some people say, you can't hear me, raise your hand.
She was texting with, Teresa.
Yeah, I also did, but she has that.
Okay,
I don't know if you wanna.
let's just hold off and wait a few minutes
All right.
so that we get our note taker back. Which is fine. Anybody want an alternate or two? That was.
Okay, let's see. We are back, okay? She's back. We're ready.
So let's just
Elevations.
let's stick with I'm hoping that the board will rely on our site visit a little bit when it comes to item number 3, number 4, and number 5. The steel company has given us that spec sheet that we saw above. I know some of these steel companies will have specific, metal that says non-reflective. I'm hoping that the board will rely on this stay that we saw on the existing building and that it's not shining, a beacon of light. And so that really just brings us to the last comment. The owner is agreeable to doing landscaping. It would be minimal and it would complement the existing pepper trees and oak trees and things. So we're considering doing oak trees to the west of the building. I think from our site visit too, you can probably tell that the structures are very isolated on the property. They're so far inside that you really can't see them from neighboring properties or even from Roblar or from any of
We
the
saw it from Roblar.
adjacent streets. What's that?
We saw it from Roblar. didn't
Oh, you
we?
could-
You do, the roof in the back end,
Of the existing,
which means you're gonna see even more.
which you're gonna see, because this one's gonna extend beyond it. I'll show you what we saw. We saw the end of this boat here.
From Roblar.
Yep.
Pretty sure.
Huh. It's because Roblar is very far to actually.
Well, that's what it looked like.
20 feet higher than the building. Yeah, and looking down at it.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Well, there's nothing we can do.
So it is what it is.
Right. But just FYI, we did find,
You could see it.
Yes, but-
trees.
Right.
we were, it's like, oh, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, some people would say we saw a little bit of.
You're just gonna hit that nail until it's totally gone, aren't you? Okay.
Yeah.
So-
That's about it. I mean, it's a pretty simple project. That's all I got.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think for the record, we
You
need to
wanna
say,
do
I think for the record, we need to say that the story poles were off by about 25 feet.
Yes.
The
They were to the north.
to the north, and anybody went in there, and that we're all okay with the location they're supposed to be.
Yes.
Okay.
Especially since it's more ideal. I mean, it's aligned with that.
No,
north.
no, I'm fine. I was.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you done, Zach?
I'm done.
Okay. Do we have any questions? All right. Public comment?
If you're online and wish to speak on this item, please raise your hand. Not seeing any public comment.
Nobody here? Okay. Then, comments. I just have a couple. So you asked about landscaping and, we were told today when we were on site that there's been a lot of new, trees planted, specifically some of the oak trees along, I guess it would be this gravel driveway here. We've got some new planting along here.
Okay.
And I would say just kind of keep doing what he's doing.
Okay.
And I mean, you could put some.
Yeah.
Over here in the front of this building, even in front of this building.
Yeah.
And then I would think seriously about putting some trees in here or even along this, something that kind of does block it from a Roblar. And it was pretty much a straight shot. So, you know, like you say, you know, along this road, they're planted every so many feet. You could just do the same thing right along here so that it was right along the edge of the pasture and not next to the building. Just a suggestion.
In order to block it from roadwater, the trees have to be 25 feet tall.
Oh, they'll grow.
Okay.
Really?
Stephanie?
Yeah.
Along with.
It is.
Yes, the irrigated pastures. Because that's kind of what you've got going already. So you don't have to, I mean, if you want to put some next to the building for shade so that the building's cooler, because that's just gonna be one hot box.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you put a lid on it, it's like an umbrella holding the heat in, so, but it's up to you.
Yeah. So we're gonna condition the.
Yeah, it's still gonna be hot.
Yeah.
It would be nice to have some
Well,
trees
we
around.
get some good value out of planting because then.
Right. So when you come back,
Solar gain.
when you come back, that's what, you know, show us where you want to put those trees and what you want to think. The other thing is you need to show those structures put it right here and show that axial alignment. So I know it's an adjacent property, but that's what you're doing. So that's part of the design intent. Show us those adjacent structures so that we have a better feeling of a sense of location on the site.
There's no equipment, no HVAC equipment on the roof of this building?
No, it'll be ground mount.
Okay.
We're already working on that.
No roof in it? Why?
Okay. Show us the equipment locations and all those fun stuff to go along with what you're doing. Yeah, I mean, just be complete about what you got going on.
Okay.
So that we don't go, oh, you're missing this.
Yeah, it's a little thing.
Yeah, but it can be a big thing. Yeah, Angie.
Just wanted to make sure with regard to landscaping, do you want a separate landscape plan or do you want the
It needs to be a landscape plan. You could combine it with the site plan if there's not that much of it. I would say use kind of a similar planting so that, you know, those oak trees were so many feet apart. Do the same thing so that you're replicating south and north. Yeah, and then I would go ahead and show those already that have been put in. Show those on your plan so that we can see how they relate. And it doesn't have to be for the whole dang site, but I mean, just this area wherever you've got existing trees, just go ahead and show them.
Right.
And then on the other property line, if there's a tree in there, I can't remember, I don't think there was. but-
Yeah.
On the south.
Yes, on the south, yeah. So just go ahead and show that too, so that we can kind of get a context. And then tell me how many you're proposing. And then we'll see about your, just add it to this irrigated pasture stuff, all that landscape as you move forward. But I think that's what you really need is that. We really want to know for sure that, and I know companies like this, they don't want to give you a sample. Sometimes it can be difficult getting, extorting that sample out of
It was
them.
like pulling teeth just getting that one sheet.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do the best you can, but unless you can be absolutely certain that what's on the other building is what's going to be on this building.
We are certain because they put together the bid.
Mhm.
And so the estimate for the first building had this solar white is what the metal is called and the coating. And if we go back to that sheet, you can see it.
Yeah.
So it's the same or for economical reasons. It's the same building essentially. It's just like.
Is it this one?
That is one.
So, what's that?
That's very white.
It is. very nice.
No, I was really glad that it didn't match my paper space on the plan.
It looks more matte.
It does.
But
Again, I'm hoping we can kind of lean on what we saw today, saw it in person.
then if you're absolutely sure, then I'd say put on here to match existing building.
I have it.
And yeah, so just do that and
Okay.
that'll be good for moving forward.
Okay.
I think that's all we need, yeah. Okay. Nicole, you need me to go over anything or did you get it all?
I think I got it.
Okay,
Can I ask a question?
yeah,
We are coming back as.
we haven't decided yet. Haven't got that far. They're here for further conceptual. How do you want to see it return?
With the development. Yeah. Moving forward. Preliminary final, I think it's.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Contingent on the development approval.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Full board.
Yeah.
Do that.
Okay, so we're happy to see it return preliminary final full board. All right,
And I've got, just to recap, I've
Preliminary
got
final?
continued planning, show landscape plan, show adjacent structures, show equipment with screening, I put with screening.
okay,
Show new planting that was done recently, and adjacent trees.
Yeah, any new planting or adjacent trees that are in this area, just so that, you know, we're showing that you're doing the same kind of
Yeah.
spacing, you're tying everything in together.
Okay,
I think that'll be good.
sounds great. Thank you, guys.
All right. Item number 6, 22 bar 93 Rancho Luis Boarding and Training Facility. Anybody here for that?
Yep. Hi, Bar. This is Jacqueline Ibarra, the project planner, and then there's also team members from the applicant online and maybe in person.
Okay.
Just online. Pete Simmons from Urban Planning Concepts and CJ Hortman from HAB Design Group is here, and the architect will be leading this one.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Good morning, board, and thanks for taking your time to review this project. I'm CJ, part of the team that has been working on this Rancho Luis Boarding Training Facility. So I'll be giving you guys a brief overview of the project, and then we also have Pete here to answer other questions and regarding kind of where we're at in process and any consultant drawings.
Let me read the comments, and then if you could direct your presentation specifically to address those comments, that'd be great.
Of course.
We appreciate the detailed site and circulation plan provided today. That was last hearing where you were here, and the careful thought put into it. Ensure that well calculations are up to date on the plans and that the most current format is used. Provide shade trees adjacent to new structures that do not currently have any. Consider additional landscaping to public and employee outdoor use areas with the intent that this will support public and employee outdoor use. Okay.
Perfect. Yep. Thanks for that, Chair. Yeah, so we were at this board back in November and had received that positive feedback on project design direction. Proceeded to Planning Commission, and then this project was unanimously approved by the Planning Commission back in April. So we're back here asking for preliminary approval today. I think if you open up page 2 of the site and floor plans, that's kind of the best page for an overview. But basically, the project consists of the construction of 5 new equestrian and vineyard support structures, and then along with substantiating like the existing previously unpermitted goat shed, which we've talked about a little bit. The board's been on site. We've done reviews. This document that's on screen, if you flip through, includes our architectural elevations, hillside ridgeline analysis studies, and as we flip through, you can see nothing in this document really has changed from our last review. But I just want to note the architecture has all been designed with analogous materials, design language, and details to basically complement the existing agricultural structures on site. So nothing new here is new. Aside from that, we had 3 documents that we've added for this review. 2 of those were basically added based on requirements for the land use permit. So the first document that was added is a site improvement stormwater control plan to kind of flesh out localized grading and bioretention details for each building. I'm not going to go through that because it doesn't really address comments from the board, but that was provided in the submittal. And then the second document, or second of 3 we added, was a document that added a study of the existing lighting on site with a photometrics plan. Again, this was a condition of approval by the Planning Commission. Those documents, that just substantiates that the existing lighting complied. There's no spillover onto neighboring properties and night sky requirements. So we were asked to do that for conditions of approval. And I think finally, to address your comments, and if you go back in the landscape plans that were added to this, there we go. There's the enlarged areas. So the applicant, we proposed here adding 6 California sycamore trees and 2 coast live oaks in areas that didn't have shade and provided a little bit more landscape interest. So we can flip through here. If you go to the next page, you can see some of the enlarged areas. So there's 4 of the sycamores there represented near this area that didn't really have shade trees out by this vineyard production building, and a couple of the pens out there that are being proposed. Another this one, you'll see on the next sheet, this identifies, you can see the sycamore is shown but not identified on the sheet. This just shows some existing landscape around buildings. And then next sheet will show that another sycamore. Oh, here's the 2 coast live oaks being proposed by our outbuilding down at the bottom of the hillside. So those have been added adjacent to that new construction. Finally, next sheet here. This is calling out another sycamore right there being located in that location near the building. So we've added those. As far as, so that's to address the comments from the board to add landscaping and to provide some shade trees. There's other substantially shady areas on site that we feel like this was appropriate. And then as far as employee areas, there's not really any formal gathering areas, and due to the agricultural nature and kind of the circulation patterns, we didn't find any additional areas to add groundscape or that wouldn't get in the way of circulation on the site. This also gives the latest WELO here, and I think there's the Appendix B for your consideration. So that's in the latest format and should comply with the latest standards, bring everything up to speed. Happy to answer any questions, but we'd hope to get preliminary approval today and then come back for final with further detail as we get further along with construction drawings.
Good questions? Yes. Public comment?
If you're online and wish to speak on this item, please raise your hand. Not seeing any raised hands, and no members of the public.
Comment?
I was there.
Fish? Anybody want to make a motion for preliminary?
I'll make a motion. Move preliminary. Preliminary.
So Chris and
I'll give a second.
second.
Okay. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Fantastic.
Hi, well, this is Nicole. I couldn't hear any of that.
Sorry, I was mumbling. Chris made the motion for preliminary, Alan seconded it, and there was no dissenting votes and no discussion.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you all. Appreciate your time.
Okay, item number 7, 25 bar 22, Almo Cantado LLC exterior changes. Okay. All right, so I have some comments from last time to read while she gets the plans up. So we realize that this is your first visit to the BAR before a planner is assigned, and we look forward to reviewing all 4 elevations of the structures showing the proposed color palette. Identify buildings are monochromatic or if they have trim detail colors. You may wish to consider that Leland cypress can have issues with root canker and that they grow quite large. Use of gravel likely will not allow for the provision of ADA accessibility. Look at a cell structure to stabilize the gravel. Consider axial alignment, endpoints to views, etc. Look at your WELO calculations, determine if the amount of water features, turf, etc. will work. We asked you to return for further conceptual, which is what you're here for. All right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So to start, first time pretty easy. We know it's going to sketch the Francisco project.
Okay.
And so for the pink color, we will be monochromatic. And I think if you go on page 10, we have renderings from each side to give you an idea of what type of color.
And have the renderings changed much since we saw it last?
Well, these are just like the CAD renderings for these.
Right.
So there are 2 buildings next to each other.
Right.
The one that will be the tasting room is this darker green. It will be monochromatic. While the railing also got very busy. And then if you scroll down to the next page, you'll see that
neighboring building, which is a complementary lighter shade of green. There's really not a lot of actual frontage, just mostly window.
And are the,
Oh, sorry.
Speak.
Yes, sorry. It is mostly doors on the front of this building, so again, we want to keep it monochromatic and not make it all busy.
and are you keeping the roof?
The roof is saying, yeah.
And that's an accurate representation of both roofs in your renderings?
Yes, and if you scroll all the way down to the very end, pages 23, you'll see the actual rendering of someone.
Okay. My best advice is shout.
Oh.
I don't usually mumble. I usually project quite well, but she just dinged me, so I'm sharing the pain. Keep going.
Page 23. Page 23. That's not it.
Oh, that's not 23?
It is 23.
I'm sorry. Sorry, there it is.
Okay, that's it.
So this is what we showed you last time. That's what it'll look like with all the landscaping in. And then if you go down to the next page, we took out the trees and the hedge to give a little bit better idea of what it will look like without landscaping, although I noticed that this is incorrect in that it's all done in the lighter green. The left building
It's darker.
But it still kind of gives you a general idea of what that will look like once painted with and without the material. So next was the consideration of the Leland cypress. We are considering other plant materials for the hedge, keeping willow in top of mind, and also it'll need to be complementary to the building color as we want as we want everything to be very harmonious and feeling very natural.
Okay.
Gravel stabilization, we've added more ADA access throughout.
You have a plan?
That is page that's 23.
Oh,
That was 100. And we plan to use the stabilizing substructures where there is gravel.
Okay, because the plastic is gonna, it can often show.
L100, so it should be
That's one. There you go.
So we added more ADA through, this is the main area that we were concerned with. So this was stone, we just made this into a paved sidewalk, and then we'll go all the way around both sides, whereas previously it was just on one. So the access from the whole.
Okay,
perimeter.
and then the center will continue to be gravel?
Yes.
And then does the concrete extend up to where the sculpture is in the gate in front?
Here, yes. So this will all be paved here and here. So there's ADA seating here, here, and then along here, and then access all the way here. And this is the existing ramp here.
Okay. So you've just contained your gravel with that?
Yeah, so there's access from the entire front.
Gotcha. Okay. And what is the paving? What are you thinking?
The paving will be, we believe to be like a brick on. Over here it can be mortar, over here it can't because of septic. So over there it'll be fixed.
So you're thinking of permeable, or you're just thinking non-mortar paver?
Non-mortar.
Okay. And are you thinking a true brick, or are you thinking some kind of concrete that's kind of a color that matches your gravel?
It will be something that matches the gravel, like a nice neutral. The general color palette will be greens and grays, just to try to keep it all very harmonious.
I'm getting that. And then there's another gravel area down.
Yes. So I was coming to this, but this lawn extended the whole way.
Right.
So for a couple of reasons, mainly to conserve water, we converted this to gravel, and for DG, it's a little bit of a flex space for overflow, for storage if necessary, but still like kind of standing room only. But we wanted to feel open and stay aligned with this linear access here, but without the water usage that we have before.
Okay. And that feeds right into number 5.
Axial line. We made some changes. So, one is because of septic, we had to make a few changes, but we changed this to be more the seating area to address this building, and this really kept this one strong east-west axis here. And then up on this end, this sculpture had been over here, which is on this visual axis when you enter, but we moved it forward. So that remains on the axis as you enter, but it's now on the axis that goes north-south too, which also allowed us to add more ADA seating at this corner while keeping everything on the strong axis. And then again, change this to a fixed surface. So this whole from top to bottom is one stronger axis. And then relocale, like I said, we took out the lawn. Our current relocale, even if all of the hedges medium, we're still under, and we are, like I said, still figuring out exactly what that material will be. But we know we'll end up being under.
Okay. Anything else you want to show us today? That's it? Okay. Anybody have any quick questions? Public comment? Sorry, I'm trying to raise.
So if you're online and wish to speak on this item, please raise your hand. We do not have any public comment.
Yes, question.
So, rendering facing the street, obviously you're showing a very mature tree, right? What size of the plantable tree do you
We left an 8-foot space there to accomplish the foot down. So we intend to start with very mature.
age-wise, what is it, 5 years?
Oh, no, that's a very mature tree. Quite large.
At 8 foot long.
Yes.
Yes, an 8-foot.
It's
Yeah,
very
Yeah, no, it's a much older tree.
yeah, I got that. Okay. That was my question.
No worries. Sorry, I didn't mean to pop by it.
No, you have to ask it. Yeah.
Okay, any discussion or comments, anything feedback?
Second time. So,
Well, I mean, because they've got a very monochromatic, they've made a commitment to the monochromatic nature. Okay. Okay, so I have a couple of comments for when you come back. We're kind of rushing you a little by saying that you can come back preliminary final. You do not have to go all the way to final. That just means that you can if you want to. Preliminary is the appealable action. Okay, so if you come in and you're agendized for preliminary and final, you still have to go through the appeal period. So there's that little hurdle. But the other thing is that you could come in for basically preliminary and final. You've already invested, you've detailed trellis, seating, you've got all these details. And now all of a sudden we look at this and we say, this is not going to work. I think you need to do this. And now everything kind of, because preliminary is where the rubber meets the road, right? So we are offering it to you. You do not have to avail yourself of it. And it is not a guarantee that this is set in stone, because preliminary is this is really what we've said, because there's no action taken here. Nobody's vested either way. So you run a fairly potentially substantial risk if you go all the way for final. Okay. Most people come in and they show us what is kind of like final light, if you will, right? All right, where they've got some standard details and that kind of stuff, but you don't have every single thing totally worked out, which is fine. Okay. But to do that for preliminary, you need to show us your materials and colors board. And I know this is a very monochromatic buildings, but you still need to put together a physical board, and you need to show it as a PDF as well. Okay, so include it in the set. but also put together a physical board with your paint chips and et cetera. You know, with the typical little, okay, this is gonna be for everything, but it's on there, all called out. Then the next thing you're gonna need is, the set of plans. We're gonna wanna go through the whole set of plans, all right? And, I know you're not making some potentially minor moves more on the architectural side. And you've got a lot going on the landscaping side, but on the landscaping side and the architectural side, you want to make sure that all of those materials and what you're doing is represented there. So if, for example, for your gravel, show us what that gravel is going to look like. And a lot of times that's just a picture. It's because it's not on the building, so it's not part of the physical board. But up to you, if you want to be able to show us how all the colors are working together, knock yourself out, you know, it's up to you. But we want to see it on the board. We want to have an idea that you are starting to think about how these different interfaces are going to work together, because you've got a lot of detailing to do.
Yes.
So to do that, and you need to, for preliminary approval, you will need to have settled on your plant material, all of it.
Okay.
And of course, you're going to want to meet with your Willow Calcs, obviously. So make sure you have the whole preliminary package.
Yeah.
All right. It's a good idea to start doing your irrigation, so at least you've got your zones and all that kind of stuff. So you're going to need to start making your commitment for that, for the irrigation. Okay. So that's it.
Question.
Yes, absolutely.
Some of the materials we want to that match the color of the building. So should we operate assuming that this color will be approved and what was
There's nobody objecting to the two colors you presented today. So I'd say move forward with that as your choices. And then come back with, like I said, you've documented, you know, Benjamin, whoever you're using, right? So that you've got them and they're on there. And then for your landscaping, you know, it's the same kind of thing.
Okay.
But you might want a separate sheet for the landscape material, so that you know, and you're starting to show, okay, we're using this grid manufactured by so-and-so, but it's going to have this gravel on top of it, so that we're starting to see how everything's going to hang together. And then as far as the planting, like I said, you need to have your sizes, your quantities, and it's not an either or. It's not like Leyland or maybe this.
Yeah.
Go ahead and make your commitment here. So, and then have your irrigation plan. Be working on that. So that'll be good for us for preliminary. Okay. And then you can check online if you decide you want to try and shoot for the fences and go for the final as well. You can check with your planner and they can tell you, help you figure out what you're going to need for final. Okay. Okay.
May I interject? We want to go for final.
Up to you. She'll help you with that. So that's, but you need to check with your planner and make sure that you crossed your T's and dotted your I's, and not the other way around. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Item number 8, 25 bar 44 RK Oaks Ag Barn. No, that's conceptual.
Oh, they're gonna come back.
No action taken. I know. Yeah, it was kind of, wasn't it? There's somebody online for this?
I think it's.
Good morning.
Oh,
Was Brett Jones, but.
no, it's
Tony Cano.
It will be on this one? Okay. And then, yes, yes.
right.
Adam provided, us with a planner memo. He is not online.
And we're here for conceptual review. Despite what the memo said.
Yes. Okay, good morning, Tony.
Yeah, can you hear me? Hello. I'm here.
We can't hear
We
you.
can't hear you, Tony. I'm sorry.
My mic is off, or excuse me, on.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Nicole?
I can hear Tony
Yeah.
and you guys, but you guys
Yeah.
can't hear Tony. I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
but-
not hearing anybody else.
Yeah, because my system says I'm working just fine. It's audible.
I'm not hearing you. Yeah, we still can't hear you, Tony. I know you're active, but we're not hearing anything.
Well, it's must be on your end because if no Nicole can hear me. Is it just muted on your end? Or
Can't hear Nicole either.
I'm just talking. Can you hear me now?
I can tell she's talking because there's a little green box around it.
Can't hear me?
Anything.
Okay. Tony, I'm gonna text Teresa. She and I can text.
all right. Thank you.
Um,
Can you say something?
yeah, can you hear me now? Hello?
No, we still can't hear anything.
Give me just a minute.
So odd. It was working just a minute ago.
Test. Test.
Can you hear me now?
We didn't hit like mute on the.
Teresa, can you see me on video?
She can't hear you. I can see you on video, Tony.
You can? Okay.
Yeah, so I
Good.
think all your stuff is working.
Uh-huh. I'll be patient.
It's Friday the 13th, so there's something had to happen.
I'm not a Knight Templar, so I don't have to
Yeah,
worry.
darn it.
Can you hear us now? No. Hmm.
You see the best time date on the brand?
Can we just take like a
2026?
give me just a few minutes, okay?
No worries. We're just gonna sit here.
It looks like there's an internet connection issue.
Ah. But
Test. Okay. Nicole, can you say something?
Can you hear me?
Oh, success.
Hey,
Hear us.
I can hear you guys much better too now, actually. It was fuzzy before.
Tony.
Yes, good morning. Are we back? All right, great. I'm glad somebody knows what they're doing because I wouldn't have a clue.
She kicked Al in the butt and it worked. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we haven't seen this before, so go ahead and get us acquainted.
Well, I just have to thank the board. We're nearly complete with the construction of the main house. That's turned out fabulous. And so this is part of a effort to be consistent with the main house. So if we could zoom in on the site plan there, I do want to point out that we're dealing with a very strict building envelope along this ridge. So what we've decided to do is to position two smaller barns in lieu of a larger barn that would be acceptable to planning. So Ryan Gershelson, the owner, has decided, let's split it up. We'll have a better opportunity of screening these two buildings with the existing oak trees. So you see that I've shaded the existing oaks there along the ridge so that they're not quite as visible from the neighbors. We've also, once we get to the material board, we'll see that we're also using the same color as the main house. Site photos there, you can see, maybe you've all had an opportunity to look at these photos, but the idea is again to use those existing rather large oak trees as shading mechanisms or screening mechanisms, pardon me. We can go on to the next sheet. Our color board there again to be consistent with the main house. You can see our siding there's of a gray color that the board approved, as well as the burnished slate metal roofing. Next sheet, please. We've decided on using prefab metal buildings. So these are elevations. Each building's quite similar. One will be used primarily for ag equipment. Currently, there's a few different pieces of equipment on site that need to be housed so that preserve them. And then the other building of similar nature will be used for animal keeping. Because of the ridge and the use of the existing trees and so forth, we don't really have much in the way of a landscape proposal. However, there have been a number of smaller trees that have been planted of the 15-gallon variety along this ridge. So we can talk about that in the event that there are any questions regarding that. So very minimal package here, site plan, floor plan, elevations, as you can see. There's our metal siding there to the lower left-hand corner of that slide. So we're using a corrugated metal of sorts. And then sliding access doors that will also be of a sort of a buff color, similar to what we've done at the main house. If we can go back, please, to the site plan, I just wanted to point out some of the constraints along the ridge. If we could zoom in on that rectangular area there to the left. So there's an existing driveway, if you will, from the main house, and then we have a detached garage as well near that symbol 1 for the site photos. So you can see we've nestled the smaller buildings in amongst the existing mature oak trees. I think that's pretty straightforward. These are ag-related, and there will be some animal keeping. So again, regarding the landscaping, will be pretty much as is, and we can refer to the site photos if necessary. I think that concludes my brief presentation. I look forward to your comments.
Anybody have any quick questions? Five. Any other quick questions? Public comment?
If you're online and wish to speak on this item, please raise your hand. We do not have any public comment.
Okay. Public comment here? All right, anybody have anything to comments?
I would just say make sure that there's truly no grading proposed, because of the 5-foot contour interval scale, it's a little hard to tell what exactly is going on over there. And, it's like you're saying, it's on a delicate little ridge line here, so it'd be good to capture any grading that you do have, if indeed there is some resulting in it once you zoom into things further.
Okay.
Ryan has his hand raised.
Okay.
Let's see.
Ryan is the owner.
Here. Oh. Okay. Okay.
I'm the owner of the property, Ryan Gershenson. Thank you for hearing this today and for approving the house. I'm excited to almost be a neighbor. These two, one of the reasons we're doing two much smaller structures is because these are the two flat spots up there where we don't need to grade. And they can be positioned where, we can get horses in and out of them. There are not a whole lot of other spots on the property, well, nothing else within the building envelope where we wouldn't have to do serious structural work and mess with the hillside, which I would prefer to do as minimal work on our beautiful ridgeline as I have to.
Are you interested in seeing a more precise grading plan?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
That's more of an advisory to the owner that, it needs to be captured in the permit application if there is any. That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is this visible? It's not visible from Oak Trail, is it?
On East Oak Trail, there's one area on West Oak Trail where you can see our property pretty well. On East Oak Trail, it's not very visible. And specifically, these large mature oak trees are positioned mostly for the neighbors, the closest neighbors, to completely screen them, but there are some of the oaks that help screen these two from West Oak Trail.
Any comments?
No comment.
Okay. How do you see it return?
Preliminary final, the outfield.
Yeah.
Okay.
I make a motion, preliminary final.
There's no motion.
What?
It's conceptual review.
Didn't you learn from?
I have a comment there. Bethany,
Yeah.
I thought I saw in the planner notes that Teresa had posted, it said conceptual preliminary. I thought they were.
memo says conceptual preliminary. If you look at the actual agenda, it says conceptual.
I understand, but I thought I saw in the planner notes to the board that it was marked off as both.
It was, but the agenda says conceptual, the agenda rule. Because that's what's legally posted,
I see.
always.
And this was sent out to the.
Yeah, this is what's sent to the neighbors and everything else, so it doesn't
Uh-huh.
matter so much what the planner memo says,
I see.
so. Okay. All right. Okay, that's it for this item.
Are they clear what they need to do?
Yeah, I think so. Tony, you didn't have any questions, do you?
No, other than maybe some clarity to come back for a preliminary final on the next review.
That's what they said.
Okay, yeah, couldn't quite hear it. Thank you.
No worries.
All right.
Been going around all day.
Today.
No, you're not. You just think you are. All right. Item number 9, 25 bar 39 Everett Family Trust Wine Cellar. This is my conflict, guys. So I'm stepping out. You guys can run the meeting. So somebody step up and do
You want me
it.
to
so
run
I
the
can
meeting?
come back in.
Yeah, let's go.
I'm happy to. Whoa, Lord, he's gonna get me. I'll come over and sit here. On my pal, okay. Is somebody online presenting or in
Good
person?
morning. This is
Oh,
Sebastian
oh.
Grete, Sam Design Studio presenting.
Okay, thank you.
caregiver, the owner.
Okay, hello, thank you for coming. Everybody's gotta be very loud. Okay? Okay, go for it.
So we're good with the audio, right?
Yes.
Okay, we have a 5-acre parcel, and this is on Ag 1-5, and we're proposing 2 structures. And since we are in Ridgeline, we needed to let you know that, and that's the reason why we're on. The first improvement that we're proposing is a wine cellar, which you could see a render elevation on the front page. Also, a tennis court. The topography of this parcel is not unusual, but what happened there is that they cut the pad for the residents, and we have adjacent slopes on both the east, west, and southern parts of the parcel. And what we're doing with the wine cellar is that we're tucking it in on the eastern part of the mesa into the hill there that overlooks the wine cellar. Now, on their southwest portion of the parcel, we're doing a tennis court that will require grading, and we're doing a mix of cut and fill and retaining for that. We have a topo and a site plan and aerial views of where these structures will sit in relation to not only the residents, but also the neighbors. As you could see there, that's the placement of where the wine cellar is going to be in relation to the residents. And to note, the only public line of sight lives within the cul-de-sac on Demonarch across on the east side of the property. So those are the aerial views from the neighbors and the distances between each residence. And what you're seeing here on this one is you're seeing in the first pictures the style and the make of the residence. And on the images 3 and 4, you see the slope in the backyard where the wine cellar will be placed. And those are different views that you have there. There where yes, right around that area. And in the next pictures, we actually have a 3D model of the cellar superimposed in that slope for your view. So that's the front view. And then you're going to see the side views of the wine cellar and how they play into that slope. what we're doing is that we're actually tucking it into the hill, and the stairs are going to run parallel on the existing grade. So the impact to the surrounding areas are minimized because we're actually playing with the grade. And most of the stuff that we're doing there is going to consist of a cut. So that's the cellar. Here's the topo survey. And in the next page, you're going to see site plan that depicts the placement of both the structures, the wine cellar and the tennis court, and the distances between the structures and the property lines, as well as some cut sections.
Is the tennis court marked 16?
The tennis court is 18 down there.
Oh, 18. Okay, sorry. Okay, go on. Sorry.
And due to the fact that this is a Mesa property where the residence is sitting, we went back and forth as to the consideration of where the best place for the tennis court would be. And because of everything that's going on the site, that was the best place that we could place it. And not only that, but being that it's tucked in closer to the valley, it tones down, the lines of sight from everywhere because it actually hides it underneath. And we have some pictures of the area there also. And those views. And I know we went a little bit further and took it into colors and materials for the wine cellar. And that's what you're seeing on this page. On page A2, we have the images of the valley that will house the tennis court.
You said page 8
A2, yes. Right there.
Got it.
So 8, the view 8 is that you're standing there on the mesa looking down into the valley where the tennis court will be placed. Yeah, that image right there. And as you could see, the only thing that you're able to see from the adjacent neighbors is very limited because right across the street, right across the valley, there is a huge oak grove that screens everything down on the lower side of the tennis court.
Any general questions? Yes. Andrew?
Yeah, I have a couple. Can you confirm, is the wine cellar structure positioned perpendicular to the end rows of the vines you have there, or is it slightly off?
Well, sorry, let me go to the site plan here. So the wine cellar is being placed perpendicular to the vineyard below. It wasn't aligned to agree with the building, but it was aligned to agree with the vineyards below.
Okay, thank you for confirming. Can you confirm whether or not in between the stairs and the main structure, if there's planting or if that's just structure? It looked like there were a couple of different views going on between the elevations and the renderings. I had a hard time telling if there was plant material or not.
So there will be plant material between the stairs and the walls of the cellar. There will be landscaping, yes. And another note is that we're going to have a live roof deck.
Yeah, so this one shows, that's an
Yeah, so
accurate representation?
yes, sir, that's an accurate representation of what's happening.
Okay.
And that also depicts the roof deck being live.
Mhm. And then in the tennis court area, that I assume the topography is set up in such a way where it really is all fencing and there's no retaining walls going on?
Well, we are going to need to design retaining walls. The way that we saw it fit best is that we're breaking it up between cut and fill to minimize the height of the retaining walls, both on the cut side as well as the fill side. So there will be, I believe that we're going to be able to work with 4 tiered retaining walls, 2 in the front and 2 in the back, to be able to accomplish this. And keeping those retaining walls, I think we could do it at about 4 feet high each. And then what's going to happen is that we're going to consider landscaping to screen the retaining walls and also minimize the impact of the tennis court in the perimeter.
Do you know what the highest retaining wall would be approximately?
I think that we were going to be able to do it, and we haven't engaged fully with civil and structural for the grading plan, but I think that we could actually do it at 4 foot high retaining walls.
There we go. What was the height of the wall? I'm sorry.
There's going to be a series of 4 retaining walls, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, and the face of them will be about 4 feet.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all my questions.
Alan, any questions?
No.
Let's go to public comment.
So if you're online and wish to speak on this item, please raise your hand.
Anybody?
Give me a second.
It's a little slow, hold on.
We do not have any public comment. We do not have public comment.
Okay. Anybody in the room want to speak? That's good. Ready to deliberate? Any questions specifically, comments, clarity?
I think one more formal comment would just be ensure consistency between elevations and models for what's landscaping and what's not, on the wine cellar.
Do you want a formal landscaping plan?
It's a good question. So you said that the top of the wine cellar is all grass, or is it a mixture of plantings, or what's your intention?
Well, we have a landscape architect on board that's going to help us decipher all of that. Being that this was conceptual, we didn't dabble that much into actually the plant material and the areas that we were going to cover. But I don't think that there would be any objection of developing a landscape plan for both the wine cellar and also the tennis court and how all that plays into the retaining walls and the surrounding areas.
It may seem like a lot, but it will speed up the process, trust me. And also I would think too, make sure that all your lighting fixtures are dark sky compliant. That would be a comment I would have to make. Alan, do you have anything?
No, just concerned, is the tennis court supposed to be lit at night?
No.
The tennis court is not going to be illuminated.
Okay,
great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
How would you like to see it move forward? Further preliminary, further conceptual.
Oh, I think we could.
You can go for that.
Yeah, we can go more than that. I
Yeah.
think.
Preliminary.
Preliminary. Well, they come back for preliminary.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
You got a good pass.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
Beautiful.
conceptual to preliminary, which is the next step, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's good. You're welcome.
No, thank you, very clear.
Okay, next item, let's bring Bethany
I
back.
get it, I get it.
Thank you again.
Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you, gentlemen, ladies.
All right, we're happy to.
Yes.
After the fact.
Okay. 25 bar 43, item number 10.
And then we have, Steve online, or?
I'm right here.
Oh, you're
He's
here.
right there.
Oh, I thought I seen him.
Come on up and speak up.
There you go.
Oh, she can't hear us?
So, I mean, I was watching.
Oh, okay, because I seen you online, so I'm like, wait, okay, perfect.
Good to go?
We're ready.
All right, Steve Welton from Steps Land Use Consulting, representing the project owners. The project team is here with me and we'll present in a moment. I just wanted to give you a little overview where the planning team on it. This is a replacement structure of an existing winery. So the winery was originally built by converting an existing ag structure, and which was great. It's worked for a while, but there are definitely access issues for larger trucks for their capacity that they're currently operating under. And so the desire is to replace the existing cooperage with a new facility, which will replace an existing, or there's an existing warehouse in the same location, which will be demolished and replaced with the new winery building.
This is the existing one.
That's a warehouse that's going to be removed. The existing winery, we go back to page 2.
That's the proposed.
That's the proposed. The existing one is right here.
Okay.
It's just you see there. It's a development plan amendment that we're requesting from staff. And we are currently in that application process. We got our first letter back. We're asking for a setback reduction from what the winery standards have on the northern side. We looked at, the reason we're asking for that is we looked at numerous locations on the site to put the winery, but the one we studied the most that looked like it might work resulted in about 25,000 cubic yards of grading. Here we're able to get that down to about 2,500 and balance it on site, so we think it's a better facility. We're working with the neighbors we're working with the neighbors to make sure that they're okay with this. So far, so good.
Where are the neighbors in relation to what I'm looking at there?
Way far away. You can't even see anything honestly, but they're, I don't know if you have access to an aerial, but we can show you there.
Yeah. Don't bring that up. I think the planner uploaded one. Let's see. Okay.
Yeah. There's basically nobody near it really.
What about the two properties to the west?
This direction, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're the setback we were requesting is for this property line right here. And then nearest residences.
Basically people north of that.
Yeah.
I think west goes uphill quite a bit, or
there's quite an elevation at the top there. Yeah. 100 feet taller than where we're at.
So I think actually with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it to the design team to go ahead and walk you through the architecture.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Ken Su, and this is Ben Woodall. We're the architectural team on this project, and I'm gonna let Ben walk us through this.
So Steve mentioned it was kind of a grassroots winery. The facility that they're currently using, which is on this sheet down lower, you zoomed in, you might be able to pick it up. It's kind of grayed out, but what drove the whole thing is they've got the facility right now is tiered with the site. So it's 4, 5, 6 steps up, and then another 4, 5, 6 steps up. And they've just had issues with that. They almost tipped the bottling truck most recently with a ton of wine on it. So there's been some hazards with that. So they just want to move the facility location further to the north and get better access, more space, et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of what's driving the project. The site, as far as topography goes, it's pretty consistent throughout in the area that we're proposing. So we've tried to mitigate cut and fill, balanced it. It's tucked into the hillside. It's lowest down at the street to the east, and it continually rises to the west, which is kind of to the left of the sheet there. We've got an enlarged site plan on the next sheet. So that's the area that we're working in.
Because you're gonna put it right up against the property line. That's what you're talking about there.
Yes, against that northern property line.
Yeah, the idea was that there's already infrastructure there because there's an existing building there. That's a barrel storage building that will never be demolished. So it's in approximately the same location. There's already infrastructure there. We've improved on. So that, as Steve had mentioned earlier, also because when the grading map came out, there was actually less grading on this side than anywhere else that we had potentially identified.
I just wanted to point out that we meet the structural setbacks. So the setback waiver we're requesting is specifically for wineries. That's usually because oftentimes wineries have events and things like that. That's not the intention here, though, is to have public events. There's already a tasting room that's down in that location.
So this is the production facility where they'll make the wine. The tasting room is going to remain where it is now, which is in the other cluster of buildings. The existing barrel storage building is in the same location as this. We basically put this new building right on top of it. There's a really nice cluster of oak trees that are there existing to the right of the building. It's going to help with screening. So it's pretty well screened from the street. You can see access is now going to be to the east of the tree cluster. And that's for the bottling truck to be able to come around onto the crush pad, load up and get back down safely. But again, this is going to be production building. There's some parking for employees there. There's a pathway that gets them up to the building. And that's kind of really it. We did spend a considerable amount of time on grading, trying to balance this and reduce the impact. Proposed, we're underneath our height limits. It'll be a manufactured steel building that will clad with board and bat. It'll be a hardy material because we're in a high fire area. It'll be a corrugated metal roof. We don't have a color palette yet, but it would be, kind of earth tones. We'll paint it. What can I say? It's got these big doors on the east and, or I guess north and south ends. That's going to allow for the forklifts to get through, to move barrels around and whatnot. There's a little lean-to covered storage area that's not enclosed on the north side. It's kind of behind the retaining wall, behind the building. They'll do equipment storage. You can look at that's that. There's a roof plan. There's our preliminary landscape plan, so that big green island in the middle is pretty much existing. There's not a lot of proposed landscaping going in there, other than pathways.
Those are all the existing mature oak trees that we are trying to preserve, yeah. And so the idea was to actually introduce a lower level parking area and with a meandering pathway that goes up to the crush pad going to the mature oak trees. I believe our landscape architectural team is online, or there's a representative here also that can walk you guys through the landscaping concept.
Great, thank you. Scott Dominguez, Arcadia Studio, so our conceptual landscape plan. Yeah, as been discussed, we have an entry driveway that loops around. There are a couple of non-native London plane trees. The south of the screen there, they have some X's going through them. Those three are going to be removed. We are going to be adding a line of olive trees to the east along the driveway to create a little bit of continuity. There are some sort of scalloped low boulder bank tree wells throughout to help build the grade up there on a couple of those trees. And then as Penn noted, there are existing large mature oak trees kind of in the center of that island there. Those bigger, large swaths of kind of olive green color, indicating where swaths of mulch would be placed to help just minimize any sort of impact on those oak trees, as well as just to make sure we're looking after the health of those trees. Then noted the parking and the pathway, the pedestrian pathway, which would be gravel with some stone slab steps to get you to the building. Again, just wanting to minimize any sort of disturbance for those oak trees. We are indicating some path lights. There are some red little dots along the pathway. That's all the landscape lighting that we're looking at, so keeping it pretty minimal for the lighting. And then we can maybe go to the planting plan.
What's your deciduous tree that's down there, that one there?
Yeah, so the trees on here are all oaks and olives.
So those are oaks as well?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, so
just different symbol. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, that's why I asked.
Yep.
Right.
So yeah, we can scroll through our detail sheet. Keep going. Irrigation plan, it's all drip. Have our Merlot calculations worksheet completed. Irrigation details. And the next sheet is our planting plan. So to give an idea of the plant material that we're looking at, keeping it pretty native. Manzanita, ceanothus, grasses, some agaves to have a little bit of texture mixed with those grasses. We talked about the trees. We are providing some screening on the north property line, which would consist of some of the larger ceanothus concha and some coffeeberry, along with a couple more trees, just to help create a little bit of a buffer, but keeping it pretty low with grasses and ground covers, some mid-height shrubs throughout most of the property.
Yeah, I might add that northern property line is currently really grown in. There's a lot of mature growth on that line, and it's probably 20, 15 feet high. I don't know if there's photo boards that came in the planner, but that might be helpful too. So that's the entry on the northern end of the property off of Ballard Canyon. There's that's the cluster of trees where it says project site. So the winery will be on that cluster, and the access road will go in front of it. Kind of see the existing building back in there. There's probably another photo that shows it. And there it is. behind that building, you can see the mature foliage and trees and whatnot in the northern property line. There's no proposal to remove any trees, they're all to remain.
Got those one, like,
Just
yeah.
the one plants.
Mhm.
Yeah, on the driveway there.
Okay,
Okay, yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Any public comment?
We do not have anybody online and no one in the audience, so no public comment.
All right, discussion?
We do have a winemaker, by the way, in case you question operations.
Nicole, could you just go back to the site plan?
I do have a question for the planner.
Aaliyah, it looks like Aaliyah's here.
Yeah, I'm here, Aaliyah Vosberg. I'm the planner. Go ahead.
Okay, nice to meet you, Aaliyah. With regard to the setback variance, are you needing any kind of a finding from us at some point?
I don't believe so. The setback that and the reduction that's being requested is specific to wineries. They are meeting, I think like Steve explained, they are meeting the zone setback requirement, which is a 20-foot side setback. The reduction of the setback that they're asking for here is, like I said, specific to wineries. It's generally for any winery structural development, it's 100 feet from adjacent property lines, and that's increased to 200 feet if the winery includes any like public events or public tasting. So the LUD standard is in this site applicable is 200 feet, but they are asking for the reduction of that. And that decision is made by the decision maker, which on this would be the department director. And it's basically just if they can meet one of the listed 5 findings of which would allow them to allow the director to reduce the setback, then they can get that reduction. But I don't believe it's something that at least according to the code that BIR.
Okay, that was my question. All right, Denise, you had a question?
No, I just kind
Or
of
comment?
missed the site plan, so.
I'm gonna go to the site plan. This is the architectural site plan.
It's bouncing around a lot.
Yeah, well, we've been having some issues.
And that was, it's forever to load.
Yeah, it's a
Try
fairly
it.
large file, so it's fine.
I know, I've been watching online.
It's worse.
Saying.
Yeah, so you've got our little thing with you couldn't hear Tony
Couldn't
and.
hear, couldn't see. No, I could see.
There's a lot of stuff in the file, and we try to compress it as much as we can, but then it's giving us issues with PDF, so.
Something, you can break it up when you submit it, it helps the
I
planner.
think it's the hatches.
Yeah, the hatches will often, take over. Would you like the landscape plan?
Mm-hmm. You must be excited about having a new crush pad, right?
Yes.
There you go.
Flat.
Yeah, flat.
Is that what you need?
Yeah, no, it's prettier for sure.
You hear that, Scott? It's pretty.
The added benefit is that now this new facility will be 100% accessible.
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed the first part of it. Is it open to the public too? This part of it is like
This
wine
is-
tasting room and all of that?
And no, the wine tasting happens down below at the existing facility.
It's just production?
Yeah.
Production, there's the existing wine tasting room that will remain. They'll convert the existing production space into more barrel storage, more storage, some sort of more bottle storage.
Cases.
Case storage.
Yeah, that's currently in that building. They're like existing building in that, so.
So the building we're replacing, which sits here, same spot, is case storage.
So you're swapping the uses.
Yeah, this is just much
safer than flat. And more
Okay.
function.
Anything else? Any comments? Come on, somebody. I know we're all sleeping today,
No.
but I know, right?
I mean, it looks like it's accommodating all the equipment and the trucks that you need to pull in and out of there, and it's nicely landscaped, functional building to me. It's my comment.
What are your, I'm sorry if I missed it, or what are your colors, or what are you looking for?
We haven't quite got there yet with the actual colors. I mean, I would imagine we'll go with the, darker kind of earth tone stuff, so it'll blend in a little better. It's board and bat, it'll have to be a hardy, so we
Right.
can meet the high fire, or it could be natural wood, if we'd have to do an underlayment
Right.
fire, so.
What about your wall, the retaining wall? Still thinking?
Still thinking, I like a form board look.
Yeah, there was a conversation about doing a poured concrete there.
Just to keep it a little more rustic-y, not so.
And then your driveway, what material you got on that driveway surface?
Asphalt or chip seal, something stable.
Is there any reason why you didn't go entirely perpendicular to the property line with the building?
Views a little bit, and then the grading, it just kind of worked out a little better. So the highest point of that retaining wall is up in the corner, at the northwest corner, and then it kind of steps down to zero as it goes. We did have a couple versions of it, probably 5 versions of how to twist it, and then this was the best in terms of balancing cut and fill, and then making the roads work properly without cross slopes.
And the turning radius on a bottom truck, obviously.
Yeah, that's it. Sure. And we wanted to stick it behind the trees to kind of screen it out.
Alan, Chris?
I guess I do have a question, sorry.
Okay.
Your access to the building it's pretty wide. I'm sure you described it before I got here, but how wide is that large part of the?
We need 20 feet for fire trucks. And then the bottling truck itself is 75 feet long.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's pretty massive.
So you needed that whole width? There's no way to
Just
narrow
swing
it
out
down.
and.
To get the cross slopes and everything to work, it needed to be that wide, and to be able to handle the radius of the turning of the truck. But yeah, we did a lot of studies on that with the civil engineers.
All right. Good. Okay, how do you want to see it returned? So ready?
Yeah.
Okay, and just, of course, you're gonna have to make your selections for your colors and materials and all
Dark
that good
sky.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got that on the landscape plan
That's what I'm saying.
and on the architecture plan too. So, yeah, and then, and do be sensitive with your lighting,
Yeah, the lighting is gonna be minimal just for the operation of the place, and there is a picture of the dark sky.
I saw that.
Typical.
It looks like you've got it pretty minimal at this point, so, but typical boilerplate language.
Yeah, thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
Okay.
all right, Nicole.
All right, I will share my screen.
Okay.
Oh, could you give me permission to share?
She's working on it.
Coming.
Oh, it's really weird when you're them.
Bye, thank you.
I can hear them.
Thank you all. Thanks.
It was Owl. Owl
Yeah, Al
was
was
acting
talking
as a
about-
speaker, and so I could tell he was talking, and Nicole was talking.
I can hear it. I can hear it.
12:30, that's a pretty good.
I guess 12:30.
Wow. I know. We have one more?
Nope,
Okay,
nope,
number
the
one.
minutes.
I thought you had, oh, you got. you're good.
I did, and I didn't get to you soon enough, so it was the one right with the. Cool.
That was fast.
Yeah, so, did you give Nicole the screen?
Yeah, just put the screen over here and then we. I was like certain.
Ah, there we go.
Missed all the fun.
I hear.
Okay, so we did the site visit. Let's go to the number 2. Yep, that's right. 3.
I did wonder if I should put more detail on like the light fixtures to be omitted. Was there another sheet that was intended to match?
Hold on a second. Final approval granted on the condition that the elevations are updated to reflect, to coincide with the reflected ceiling plan in the final stamp set.
Yeah, hey, 20 minutes, bye-bye. No, I will not. We'll look at it now.
Okay.
25 people coming in, maybe 30.
There was?
So 4, yep, that was it for 4.
It's crazy.
It was, my dad actually wanted to be here.
No.
Okay, add planning.
My luck is not my own.
What's that? No.
You could change that to and or near the buildings.
You couldn't see what you're saying.
Next to that, yeah, right under Roblar,
I gave you a pass.
right under Roblar. No.
Oh,
She's like, oh.
sorry.
And or, yeah.
Because I wondered.
Show the proposed planting location, size and species. Identify existing trees on the plan and adjacent trees in the area.
I mean, I was looking at it, but I had stuff going.
Okay, I don't know where 3 came from. Do you know where that came from? Because the paint name is Solar White. That's the name of the color. I don't think we talked about solar equipment. Okay, so you
No.
can admit number 3.
There was some equipment you wanted them to show.
Oh.
HVAC and all that stuff.
Oh, okay.
Ground mounted HVAC.
Yep.
Oh, okay, that's why, because I heard ground mounted and I thought.
There
solar.
you go, you got it. But the color is solar white, so I can see where that got conflated. Add a note, identify the color structures to he's already got it. Number 4 is redundant, he already has it.
We want to put in that number 3 is just a little thing.
What's that?
Forget it. Oh, I forget it. Never mind.
Do we need to change it? Is it
No,
good?
went right over the top of your hat.
Yeah, You're just lucky I'm tired. Okay, I think that's it for that one. Okay, the preliminary approval. That was number 6. Which one was that?
Rancho San Luis.
San Luis, okay.
Yeah. Or Rancho.
That was 6. Number 7. Right, color and materials are including both the physical board and a PDF. These are all okay,
We want to make sure the renderings were exact, remember how the colors were off?
well, we didn't actually say that.
Sure.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
I did not say that.
I thought we said it.
I thought we did.
He said it. He said that they weren't correct.
But then you said you came back, you wanted to see them rendered correctly, I believe.
I think the physical board will take care of that, no?
Yeah, the physical board will answer that question directly.
And I think he'll fix it anyway, because he's the one who pointed it out.
Good.
That the
Okay.
building colors were both the light color green. Okay, so For preliminary approval, all the typical items to the, basically what I don't want to say is, for preliminary approval, you need these things and nothing else.
Right.
I want to be able to say that provide all the typical preliminary approval items
She has it. That's-
And where is there a list of these typical items?
on the BAR application.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's-
Okay. No, he's right. Yep. Not limited to color and materials, board, include both physical, and then,
Right, thanks, Nicole. You can't tell somebody something like that. I mean, we know that, but these people might be first time.
it's also the planner too.
Okay, sorry.
No worries, that's
If
fine.
they go to the BAR application, they'll have a whole list that they can.
Yes, so for item number 2, samples of landscape materials, and colors would be helpful. I think you could say that. For example, the gravel. Because that's basically what I told him. And number 3 is also, you could put that up there with that color board.
Bless you. It's not setback.
Girl sneeze. Okay,
I'll fix it later.
yep, no worries. So, scroll down to the next one.
The next item.
Yep, I think we're good with that. Given the proper, please keep on
I was gonna say the planner's gonna probably point that out to them too, because I just, as a planner, I always tell people, like, just say 50 cubic yards of cut and fill to save yourself, you know, but.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at.
Okay, so given that the property is in a hillside area, confirm with, and that this is the topo plan that was 5 feet.
Yes.
And that the topographic plan has a 5-foot contour interval. Please reconfirm whether or not grading will truly be required. So stick that after hillside area.
I'm sure they're.
Yep. Okay. So next.
So this next one was.
That's my conflict, so I can't.
Oh, yeah.
I'm reading.
Okay.
Good to me.
Okay.
Yep, that's correct.
He didn't correct me, so I gotta wonder, is it kangaroo? Is it really pronounced kangaroo? That's pretty much what we said.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I said,
Nicely landscaped functional building that appears to accommodate the vehicle access needed for use of the site.
It's pretty much what we said. It ticks all the boxes and it's
Okay.
okay.
It's a utilitarian building.
Utilitarian building.
Okay,
Good, this is a setback I was interested in.
Okay,
all right, that it?
it's been keen.
That's it.
All right, thank you, Nicole.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank
you.
Do we have anything to, is everybody gonna be here next July 18th?
Yes.
Is it July 18th?
Yep.
Pretty sure,
We have a busy docket. Have you seen?
Might not, might, I don't know yet.
This is a lot.
I haven't received anything yet for, not July.
It's the 18th of July?
July 18th.
That's what it says at the end of the agenda
Why
here.
do I have the 11th on mine?
Because, yours is set on the second Friday, and because of July 4th, it got pushed.
I'm not gonna be here then.
I guess someone else is.
Okay, so you're not gonna be here on the 18th?
No.
Anyway.
You gotta be kidding me.
So.
Yeah, you have to check the official
I did.
every year when. it
These
comes
were, I wrote these down. I don't have it on there, second, whatever.
Okay.
This was something that we were given that said the 11th.
That's the same sheet I have right here.
What?
This is the sheet that I handed out,
Yeah.
the first meeting.
It says
July
18th.
18th.
What's the one for August?
August 15,
I can see he has it.
and then
You're
September
kidding,
12,
August 15th? I got that one as the 8th.
and then September 12.
Yeah,
I could give, October 10, November 14, and December 12.
okay, now I wanna know where I got,
Do
where
you want
I.
me to, do you want a copy of this?
What's his last name?
All right, tell me where the, oh, cheaper, I'm gonna miss that one too.
Yeah.
Did we call the meeting?
Oh, not yet.
I didn't set these up like that. Where did this come from? Because I'm pretty fastidious about writing that stuff on my
This
calendar.
is what David hands out to us at the beginning of the year.
Oh, is it?
I always have to go in and,
I put these in by hard coding. Oh, geez.
okay. All right, so we're not gonna see Alan, but you guys are gonna be here? All right,
Yeah, I'm not gonna be here for,
a couple months, okay. All righty,
Nice.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second the motion.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Nicole.
thanks, Nicole.
Is there a site that you could look at?